We're gonna have a squiz. One of them's 28 minutes and 54 seconds. It's alright. Have you watched these before, Lock On, I wonder? No, that's alright. No, I didn't know if you... Like, I know a lot of the ones you put on a first time watches for you, but I don't know if, like, when it's something like a Solidus Snake character analysis thing, if you've already seen it. So, let's have a look-see.
George Sears, or should I say Solidus Snake, is not a man without sin. During his life, he was involved in some monstrous things, be it mind-breaking children, establishing a crew of child soldiers, or, orchestrating the entire Shadow Moses incident. But this all being said, Solidus is a man with strong morals about freedoms and liberty. He was a
I missed the part where he organised Shadow Moses, but anyway.
Man tired of
maybe I just forget a detail.
his corrupt government and its secrets, and he decided to take action. He wasn't a good person, but he was a true patriot.
A true patriot, yes!
Born in 1972 through a cellular cloning project called
Les Enfants Terribles.
Is this one of the newer games? Les Enfants Terribles. Hang on, I need to listen to that again.
Born in 1972 through a cellular cloning project called
Les Enfants Terribles.
Wow.
You never did like the French.
the Terrible Children's Project, Solidus was a perfect genetic clone of
Yeah, I have no idea.
Big Boss. Copying the data they gathered from Solid and Liquid, they figured out the perfect genetic match for the perfect soldier gene, or the perfect soldier DNA. This explains why he's named Solidus, because Solidus is the point in temperature in which an object shifts between solid and liquid. It also...
See, that makes more sense once they actually give the explanation of they found out the genes that would be better between liquid and solid. Rather than me going, where the heck's Gas Snake?
It has to do with the fact that Solidus is the name of the coins that soldiers were paid in. Solidus would go on to be tested in a civil war, the first civil war of Liberia, which takes place between 1989 and 1996, which means that Solidus was about 16 to 24 at the time, but he came off appearing much older than that. This is due to him suffering from a much more accelerated aging failsafe that was used on all the Terrible Children clones, causing him to age much faster than Solid or Liquid ever had to worry about. Another fallback of this, being a clone that is, was Solidus was unable to have children. During the war, both due to his desire to test a hypothesis on whether he could
Yeah, Gas Snake would be insane.
shape someone out of ideals alone, and his desire to have a successor to himself just in case he were to die during the war, Solidus killed a young Liberian child's parents, and then adopted him. He named this child Jack and taught him many things, such as being ruthless in his killing, learning to lead an army, and how to honor a blade amongst anything else. He also, during the training of his child soldier unit, brought Jack in and had him injected with a serum used on soldiers.
What's this picture from? Now I'm curious. Because it looks like some movie that they made could have vaguely been based on Metal Gear, unless he's just using it for illustration purposes. Hang on, now I've got to search it. If I screen snip it and then stop it. I'm doing it, reverse Google image search. He's shown it a couple of times. That's what's getting me. So I'm like, yeah, it looks like a B movie, but I want to know. Army of the Devil. Metal Gear Wiki. Oh, fuck. Okay. Does it say where it's from? Oops. I'm just looking here. Oh. It says The description says the physician preparing to inject Jack with a syringe with Solidus left watching. I want to find what it is, though. Where's this from? Metal Gear Saga. Yeah, non-Metal Gear Saga. Where's the source? It could be a fan movie. I just think it's hilarious. I need to do this again. Hang on. What other results came up? Doctor Who, the Sixth Doctor. Why is it? What's this? It's some Chinese site. Somehow it's Chinese or Japanese wiki. Wait, is this TikTok? I don't know. I don't know the icon. Look at the icon in the top left. I'm confused. Well, I don't know. I guess I'll just continue watching the video. I was just thinking usually they give a credit for where it's from on the wiki pages. But I don't see that here. At least in the Star Wars wiki. Anyway.
During the Gulf War, and how to honor a blade amongst anything else. He also, during the training of his child soldier unit, brought Jack in and had him injected with a serum used on soldiers during the Gulf War. This was a very basic version of the perfect soldier serum. Jack then went on to be one of the most successful child soldiers, earning the name the White Devil and Jack the Ripper. Though, after the conflict had ended, Jack and Solidus were separated, but they wouldn't remain separated forever. After proving himself to the shadow government called the Lalelulelo, that he was a competent leader.
The Lalelulelo? What?
The Lalelulelo entrusted Solidus with the White House and the presidency of the United States in the early 2000s. During this time, Solidus learned that not only he was absent from freedom as he assumed prior to his involvement with the Lalelulelo, but the whole United States was under complete media control. During his run as president, Solidus was involved in two major historical events, one of these events being his creation of Dead Cell, and another one being his biggest, his push for START 3, which is also known as the Strategic Arms
Okay, if people want to read this,
Reduction Treaty. This was Solidus'.
I want to read it now. You went through it too fast. Okay, yeah. I think they mentioned that in the first Metal Gear.
Arms Reduction Treaty. This was Solidus' mark on history, but the Lalelulelo wouldn't have it, and START 3 was effectively useless. Solidus grew to
What's
hate
this background
Lalelulelo.
music doing?
Using one of the contacts he made after the creation of Dead Cell, he orchestrated an event to take place on Shadow Moses Island, behind the Lalelelulelo's back. The whole point of Shadow Moses' incident was to get Metal Gear Rex's nuclear test data. Solidus could use this against the Lalelulelo in a future event if he ever needed to. After the events of Metal Gear Solid 1, completely out of the control of the Lalelulelo, Nastasha Romanenko publishes a story detailing the events of Metal Gear Solid 1. This angered the Lalelulelo, and out of fear for his life,
Yeah, the
Solidus
sound
went
is
to
just
hide, said to
what?
have
The
resigned to become a
la-la-la-la-la.
guide. But his last action was paying for his allies' arm surgery. During his time underground, Solidus established quite a few things, one of them being his own private Russian army, then his own elite group of established Dead Cell members, and
This art looks awesome. Although I don't know why Fat Man doesn't have a head.
most importantly, his sweet exoskeleton suit designed by DARPA. Its design is made after the synthetic muscles used on Metal Gear Ray. With all of these factors established, he was given the final tip he needed by an old ally,
From Evangelion.
about something.
Also, yes, thinking of Evangelion, we don't have an answer to why the Metal Gear Ray mass market versions bleed red.
big inside the big
Inside the game that I've seen anyway.
shell. Or should I say, under the big shell. Solidus is told about Arsenal gear and the AI located underneath the big shell.
But
So
it's red. It's
to get it, Solidus gathered
like
his
a
combined
person.
army and his dead cell units and renamed them into the Sons of Liberty and then attacked the big shell. He also took on the name Solid Snake to raise confusion and buy him some time. Along with this, his motivations keep appearing different to everyone he's aligned himself with or talked to. It goes from wanting to drop a bomb on New York to establishing his own outer heaven to getting $30 billion to blowing up the big shell or to obtain Arsenal gear all for himself.
It makes a lot of sense when you think about the story, because it's like, well, he's been convincing everyone to join him and it tells them what they want to hear.
None of these goals are Solidus's goals. His goals were very simple, actually. Solidus planned to allow Raiden to upload the worm cluster into the AI core of GW. While it was crippled, he would gather a list of names inside of GW. This list of names was all Lalelulelo, and then he would take the list of names and leave Arsenal gear to his soldiers in the...
Man, I wish they kept using Lalelulelo instead of calling them the Sons of the Patriots. I just wanted to. I want to hear that whole conversation with them calling them the Lalelulelo through the whole game.
The dead cell unit.
Planning to hijack Arsenal.
Yeah.
You were going to screw me over, weren't you?
Who talked? Ocelot?
Not
Oh, is this the
exactly.
original?
I was the one who used...
I am also like, if there's virtually the same game with better graphics, you know.
Ocelot to suggest the idea to you in the first place.
What?
I was planning to give you Arsenal to begin with.
This was used to distract the Lalelulelo while he goes and eliminates each of them from the shadows. Little did Solidus know that he was still part of the Lalelulelo schemes, and the worm cluster was set to destroy the data of the list of names of the Lalelulelo. Solidus had turned from a simple
Yes! The Lalelulelo.
grudge against the Lalelulelo, full-on hatred in their practices and actions. This is why he coldly kills Olga without a second thought, even though she's working for the Lalelulelo to save her own child. Though it is revealed to stop.
Whoa, is that in a different game?
To save her own.
But I thought that Snake said that her child was a him, so maybe this is just a illustration image.
Child. Though it is revealed to Solidus near the end of the game that he himself has been used by the Lalelulelo.
It's a
I wouldn't
clone.
have minded watching some more of it, but we're running a little short on time.
It's like bloomin' Star Wars with the bloomin' clones. Like, I like how clones are used a little bit in the New Republic era as I'm reading it, but it's not overdone. Like, in the comics at least. But it's like everyone goes, it's a clone, it's a clone. Ah, Glass Snake, yes.
What are you talking about?
Everything you've done here has been scripted. A little exercise set up by us.
Exercise?
The S3 plan was conceived as a means to produce soldiers on par with Solid Snake. That's what I told you. But the VR training the boy was put through.
Yeah, I'm so confused on that because it's on the official wiki and everything. I can't see anything on where it's from.
Is not the meat of the project. This is the S3 training kernel.
It was being used for a program called the S3 program. The S3 stood for Solid Snake Simulation. This was designed to turn soldiers into Solid Snake through a convenient fantasy given to them.
But it's not the Solid Snake simulation.
This robbed Solidus of the son that he had
They literally told us, the AI told us it's not Solid Snake simulation, it was the thing for suitable sanity.
created.
The suitability for societal sanity or whatever it was, wasn't it? Selection for societal sanity, that's right. Not the... Yeah.
Turned him against him. After Ocelot reveals
I mean, to be able to become suitable for the selection for suitable sanity, you would have what they did to be on par with Solid Snake, right?
himself to be part of the Lalelulelo. He then sends Arsenal gear colliding into New York's Manhattan Island. Both Raiden and Solidus fall onto the roof of Federal Hall, and finally, Solidus begins to explain himself fully to Raiden.
But of course, he's running through the story, so yeah. This doesn't feel like a character analysis. He's just giving a summary of what Metal Gear Solid 2 is at the moment.
Federal Hall.
What are you laughing at?
Is he really just gonna... Yeah. He's really just playing the whole ass cutscene. We saw this earlier. In higher definition. Why is it... Wow, really? Okay, I think he goes back about here.
Brace yourself.
When's he gonna get to the actual character analysis?
Solidus' actions here show how earnest he is to his own word. He
There we
frees
go.
Raiden and gives Raiden all the information he's been keeping from him, even the information that would make Raiden hate Solidus and turn him against him. This allows Raiden to make his own decisions. This allows Raiden to be truly free from anyone's control. Solidus
That Raiden cake in that art. Look at that cake.
anyone's control. Solidus shows that he only truly wanted two things out of life: his name to be remembered in history and a son. Lalelulelo took both of these things away from him, and his only option to try and free the American people was to kill his own son and take the information from Raiden's nanomachines located within his brainstem. These nanomachines have the location of Lalelulelo within them, but he would end up dying that day when Raiden slices down his back and separates his spinal cord. He then drops off Federal Hall and reaches up to the America that he couldn't quite reach. Though this
Yeah,
wasn't
the
the end for
symbolism there
Solidus,
is pretty
sadly.
cool.
Solidus' body wasn't completely dead. He was only brain dead, actually, and his body was recovered by Paradise Lost, an organization run by
Okay, this is games I haven't played yet.
Big Mama. His living body was used as part for a recovering Big Boss, and finally, he met his true end in 2014 when he was shot to death by a Zeus cannon held by Liquid Ocelot. Though this was only because they thought he was the real Big Boss, even though he was only being used as a decoy. Solidus and the boss were very similar, actually, given that they were both taken advantage of by their given shadow governments, be it the philosophers, Lalelulelo. Though the biggest difference is the boss, when given a mission that would be the end of her life, she was completely taken advantage of, she played her part.
Where's the lamb sauce? Come on.
Solidus fought back. Solidus' passion and dedication came from his desire to make something out of his life, a life of a soldier that was forced onto him that he had completely no knowledge of anything else besides. He believed deeply in the ideas of the American dream and idolized people like the Founding Fathers, specifically George Washington. And his primary motivation for his actions were to destroy the Patriots and bring power back to the people.
Like,
Much
you want me to react and talk about this stuff? Don't fully lurk, but like if there's something that comes up that you want to comment on, then say it. But yeah, I get going deep research mode, but you can always do that afterwards.
the Founding Fathers. He did so through radical methods, but he always valued strong civil
Yeah,
liberties
you're
and
listening,
personal
so
freedoms, even
if there's something, then
they conflicted
good.
with his goals. As long as someone wasn't working with the Patriots, he didn't care what they chose to do with their life. So when you remember Solidus, be sure to remember him not as the horrible monster that he used to be, but as the proud patriot he died trying to be.
wow, that was really like, how many minutes was that in? Nearly 11 minutes of just summarizing what happened in Metal Gear Solid 2 that we just played and finished. Alright. I might put the shorter one first. So, is Solidus good or evil?
It's not
Metal Gear Solid.
power I want. What I wanted to take back from the Patriots are things like freedom, civil rights, opportunities.
good guy, Solidus.
What makes a villain a villain? Is it his motivations, his goals, the actions he takes to achieve those goals? In Metal Gear Solid, no one is who they seem to be, and Solidus is no different. Solidus, one of the antagonists of Metal Gear Solid 2, masquerades as Solid Snake with goals Solid Snake himself would take on in Metal Gear Solid 4. Stop the Patriots. So why is it that Solidus is considered a villain, but Snake it isn't? Has Solidus earned the label villain, or is he a secret good guy? Today we're tackling Solidus and whether or not he's truly a villain in Metal Gear Solid.
Alright, yeah.
Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Luffie and welcome to my channel. I talk video games and character analysis, so if that's your thing, subscribe.
Mugiwara no Luffy. No, it's pronounced the same even if it's spelled differently.
Subscribe and stick around. If you like what I do here, consider supporting me on Patreon or becoming a channel member so that I can continue to bring these videos to you weekly. Heads up, this video will have spoilers for Metal Gear Solid 2.
Okay.
Solidus, the secret good guy?
All I want is to be remembered by other people, by history. The Patriots are trying to protect their power, their own interests, by controlling the digital flow of information. I want my memory, my existence to remain.
Solidus has two main goals: to be remembered and to restore freedom of information, civil rights, and opportunities to the American people. Solidus has spent the majority of his life as a tool used by the enigmatic entity, the Patriots. The Patriots are a shadowy organization that control the US from behind the scenes. The Patriots, headed by Zero, were responsible for Solidus's existence, cloning him from Big Boss in 1972. In 1980, they sent Solidus to fight in the Liberian Civil War, meaning he was just 8 years old when he was sent to fight as a soldier. Because of his rapid aging, however, he most likely looked older. The Patriots went on to promote him to President of the United States when he was a young adult. Like anyone else, Solidus wanted to be in control of his own life, though when he refused to dance to the Patriots' string pulls, they removed him from his presidency and planned to remove him from the living as well. What use is a puppet that doesn't perform? After they burned Solidus, the Patriots planned to bury his existence so that it faded away into obscurity, which was a step too far for Solidus. Solidus wanted to have a legacy, so he hatched a plan that would land him a list of the Patriots so he could destroy their organization and prevent his erasure. Does this sound like a villain to you?
The end of the Patriots' secret rule. Liberation of this country. This was where it was supposed to begin. This is where freedom could have been born.
The Patriots have developed an AI that will control information, censoring what they deem needs to be censored, and crafting the information they keep to fit their own narrative. Solidus saw this firsthand when the Patriots assigned him to be the president of the US. They manipulated the public and thus stripped the American people of their civil liberties. This wasn't something Solidus could abide by. A list of the Patriots lived in Arsenal Gear, a metal gear made to look like an offshore cleanup facility in order to not panic the public. Arsenal Gear housed GW, an AI geared towards information control. Naturally, one key piece of information the Patriots wanted controlled was a list of their names. Solidus could extract the list from GW, and so he took control of the facility. During Solidus' hostile takeover, his successor, President Johnson, was inspecting the Big Shell, what the cleanup cover story part of Arsenal Gear was called. President Johnson, along with his entourage, were all
Game Showcase of 2012? Wow.
taken hostage. You may be thinking, kidnapping the president? That sounds like a pretty villainous behavior to me. Did Solidus kidnap the president, though? When Special Operative Raiden fights his way to President Johnson with the intention of rescuing him, President Johnson reveals,
I wanted power. I wanted absolute power.
he was working with Solidus and willingly input his code to allow the launch of a nuclear strike.
Yeah, they really should require people to put the source of images and stuff.
He felt that by working with Solidus and making a nuclear launch an active threat, that he could blackmail the Patriots into elevating his status. President Johnson was tired of being a pawn of the Patriots and thought he could use Solidus and his access to nukes to blackmail the Patriots. Can we really blame Solidus for kidnapping the president? Or did the president manipulate things to be captured by Solidus? Solidus wants a
Yeah, it looks like a kidnapping, but then also he went willingly with Solidus, so...
list of the Patriots so that he can destroy the Patriots and free the world from their control. Just 2 games later, in Metal Gear Solid 4, Snake and Otacon share the same goal. Why is it when Solidus wants to destroy the Patriots, he's a villain, but when Snake and Otacon...
Okay, this will be interesting to play.
do it, they're heroes. Solidus does a lot during his time in Metal Gear Solid 2, but it's all motivated by the very human desire to be free from oppression and to be remembered. Do these motivations nullify his status as a villain, though? Solidus, the absolute villain. Let's take a look at the opposite argument. Solidus took over Arsenal Gear to get a GW.
This is a lot better than that first video, because the first video was just like, he is mostly just summarizing and then not even really commenting on the actual question in the title. Yeah, anyway.
And a list of the Patriots. What was he going to do with Arsenal Gear once he'd accomplished his goals, though? Well, he'd planned on putting Arsenal Gear in the hands of rogue group Dead Cell. Dead Cell was interested in having a fortress, but more concerningly, they were interested in the hydrogen bomb stored in Arsenal Gear. Solidus knew that Dead Cell planned on launching the hydrogen bomb, but didn't care for the countless lives that would be destroyed, and was ready to hand Arsenal Gear off to Dead Cell anyways. That's not good guy behavior. That's bad guy behavior. Solidus doesn't have a lot of empathy for anyone, for that matter. Olga was acting as a Patriot spy, guiding...
Yeah. I mean, you haven't watched them before, so that makes sense.
Raiden as needed while also working for Solidus. At the end of MGS2, she jumps in between Raiden and a Metal Gear Ray to save his life. The Patriots blackmailed Olga into working for them by kidnapping her daughter and holding her hostage. If Raiden lost his life...
So she said her daughter, but just from Metal Gear Solid 2, Snake says that they'll find him when referring to Olga's child. And they don't refer to Olga's child with a sex in the rest of the game that I remember.
The nanomachines would signal the nanomachines in Olga's baby and would kill her daughter. Olga was caught between a rock and a hard place, but her situation doesn't move Solidus.
He wanted
when
to
she gets in his way,
raised to be a puppet and everything, wanted to be free from it, which anyone that realizes that and comes to a decision would be, I would reckon.
he kills her in cold blood. Olga didn't have a weapon on Solidus and wasn't a threat to him. She'd simply served her purpose with him, and as a Patriot spy, she had to go. Also not good guy behavior. Solidus' lack of empathy extends to Raiden as well. Solidus orphaned and kidnapped Raiden when he was just 6 years old to force him to serve as a child soldier in his army during the Liberian Civil War. Solidus molded Raiden into a killing machine and used his power over him to mirror the situation he was in with the Patriots to see if monsters were made.
He wanted to do it for others too in the
Using a
end.
6-year-old like that as a way to try and better understand yourself is terrible. When Raiden confronts Solidus, Solidus tells him,
You are one of a kind, but still a monster, shaped by a dark and secret history.
if Raiden's a monster, who made him
He
out?
does.
Solidus. Unfortunately, the list of the Patriots Solidus is after inside of GW gets destroyed.
I don't know Librarians a
Fortunately,
lot,
for Solidus,
so there
Raiden
is
also
that.
has a list of the Patriots hidden away inside of his nanomachines. Solidus doesn't hesitate to change up his plans. He tells Raiden he's going to kill him and extract a list from his nanos. He doesn't try to think of a non-lethal way to extract them. He jumps straight to murder. Not a very good guy thing to do. Solidus is unempathetic and steps on whoever he needs to step on to achieve his goals. Whether that's in Liberia, where he wanted to
So
know
maybe
about
some Dutch
himself
descent
and tried to turn a
things,
6-year-old into a
yeah.
monster to better understand himself, or years later when he's willing to put a hydrogen bomb into the hands of Dead Cell to manipulate them into helping him get a list of the Patriots. Solidus Revisited. Can we really blame Solidus for the things he's done and label him a villain? Knowing what we know about Solidus' time in Liberia, can we really blame him for it? He was a child himself put in an impossible situation where he was expected to fight and train other soldiers. He had no other option. The trauma he inflicted on Raiden is trauma we can infer Solidus holds himself as well, as he's a fellow child soldier. Solidus tells Raiden,
I needed to know.
And then it's people not knowing how to break the cycle and re-inflicting the trauma on their children, because in the way of like Solidus raising Raiden, that's what happened. He's basically his child.
Whether we were really someone else's creation.
he uses his relationship with Raiden as a way to understand his own situation, showing a lack of maturity and insight on his part. Can we really blame a child for lashing out and hurting others when he himself is in the same situation and being hurt? Solidus was taught from a young age that his individual needs don't matter, as he was used time and again by the Patriots. Can we really blame him when he focuses on the needs of the many instead of the few? Stopping the Patriots would net an overwhelming positive for the world. Does it matter that he needs to extract that list from Raiden? Your thoughts? We took a poll here on YouTube asking if y'all thought Solidus was good for people, and the majority of you said Solidus is good. which made my heart so happy. I know Solidus has done some bad things in his time, but part of it was when he was a kid. I can't excuse him for planning on handing a high
Her audience obviously is a bit more critically thinking about certain things too.
bomb over the dead cell, though. That one's on him. Otherwise, Solidus was ahead of his time as he recognized the threat the Patriots posed and tried to take them down. Invincible Matt 2135 commented, "When he talks about how he wants to be remembered, that made me realize how selfish his actions were. He did all that not because he thought it was right, rather because he believed he deserved to have the recognition of having done so." I had never thought of Solidus like that. I always thought of Solidus' desire to be remembered as a very human thing, but I can see Invincible Matt's side too. Motivation definitely matters when determining whether or not a character's a villain. Liquid Pro Eaton 1367 shared, "It's hard to boil an entire person down to good or evil, but Solidus has a list of sins longer than his tendrils. Wanting to take down the Patriots is cool, even if it was for selfish reasons. But I don't think that balances out all the other stuff he's done."
So yeah, what I'm thinking is like, she did a poll of evil or good. But you can't break down a more complex character to just, oh, they're good or oh, they're evil. You have to think about, like, he's done evil things, but he's also been manipulated, he's got a lot of trauma, and takes a lot of that into his actions. And, of course, he's sort of got good intentions, but it is fairly selfish. At the same time, he was also in that monologue thinking about freedom and opportunities and civil rights for more than just himself.
I really like that metaphor. He definitely has a list of evil deeds longer than his tendrils, though personally I don't count the things he did while he was a child or under the Patriots' power. Nicolasator 368 commented, "Intentions awesome, executions not so much."
Yeah, there is
Solidus
that.
up perfectly, in my opinion. Solidus is set up to be the villain at first glance. He takes over Arsenal gear, seemingly kidnaps the president, and is the reason Raiden is an orphan, and speaks in a richly villainous voice. Is that enough to label him a villain, though? Or is Solidus a deeply misunderstood character with goals ahead of his time as he wanted to take down the Patriots, an incredibly dangerous shadow organization? Which do you think it is? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for making it to the end of today's video.
Yeah, so I think that in the end Solidus ended up being an anti-hero. Because while his motivations and what he really wanted to do were probably not the best, he was lashing back against and fighting against, in the best way that he knew how, the people that had traumatized him and manipulated him and been a puppet, and then tried to stop them in his own way. And the intentions being good is a bit like a catch-22 of like, not all of his intentions were probably good, because it was quite selfish to want his legacy to be continued on and all that, but at the same time he also had good intentions in the way of giving people freedom and all of that. And yes, it is a very human thing to want to be remembered and pass on your legacy. Yeah. But also, like, not everyone's George Washington. Not everyone's the one that will be remembered by history. And there are a lot of people that have done things that have been forgotten in history, but they have been crucial to the way that history's been formed.
If you liked it, share it with someone who wants to know more about Metal Gear Solid lore. If you need more MGS content, check out my Patreon or become a channel member. I upload articles I write on upcoming videos, or just thought pieces on MGS in general. Or join us in Discord. We're always talking about MGS. More importantly than that though, please take care of yourself, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.
Nice.
Special thank you to our $10 patron.
Okay, yeah, I don't think I need to sit through there. Yeah. So, she's saying she does a lot of Metal Gear Solid stuff, right? Yeah, okay. And Resident Evil. I was just looking out of interest. Yeah, okay. So, reviewing Stray. Yeah, okay. A few things mostly focused around Metal Gear Solid. So neat. Yeah, that was a good breakdown and like showing both arguments. I liked that one. Yeah. I guess if you're trying to draw that parallel, of course I don't know history enough to know that he liberated people from the British Empire, so I miss things. I'm not a big American nerd.